orthopedic answer to that one. Okay, first of all, people, there are 4 basic triggers that have us look at our situations. One is based on, and I'm going to be giving you this from the soul's perspective. So the first one is based on soul recognition. So you cross paths with somebody you've had soul history with, and many times you will recognize that soul, not at a conscious level, and it will trigger that history. So it could be something as simple as you walk into a 7-Eleven to buy a lottery ticket. You're having a great day, you're feeling terrific, and the pimple-faced high school kid behind the counter gives you your ticket, and he might have been your torturer and another life experience. And you walk out angry and vengeful and frustrated and not know why, because you were just having a great day a little while ago. So the trigger is actually, let me make it even more basic. As we go through life, every relationship are 2 souls coming together to grow. And the growth is what's important, not how long it lasts. If it lasts 10 minutes or 50 years is immaterial. The growth is what's important. So people come into our lives to be our mirrors. And we've asked them to do it, though not at a conscious level, at a soul level. So they come in and they will, say, trigger us into a certain pattern so that we can now look at that pattern to be able to deal with it and transcend it and let it go. Unfortunately, based upon our culture, we tend to focus in on the discord rather than on and blaming somebody. By the way, it's always about self, never about other. Sherry, if I'm upset with you because you did something, it's my program that triggered. If you're upset with me because I did something, it's your program that triggered. So once you recognize that, there's no more blame, there's no more disempowerment, there's no more victimization, there's just mirrors of us so that we can grow. And now what happens is most people don't really look at what their needs and desires are. I mean, if you look at it, our basic need and desire in this society is love, happiness, security. Yet most of the time we get caught up with, gladiator games on TV or looking at mindless sitcoms or moving into the better car or the more attractive paint job on the house or hairdo, rather than looking at what makes us happy, what gives us joy, and what will allow us to most effectively move forward with life. So it's where we focus our attention that gives us the mirror back so that we can presumably release the judgment, the discord, the missed expectation, and then move into seeing the grander picture of life. We are all glorious. I want everybody out there in the listening audience to recognize you are magnificent, period. You always have been, you always will be. That's a given in life. Unfortunately, we've never been taught that. We haven't really been exposed to that. So we bought into a misbelief, and then based on that misbelief, we've created our life experience. So I want you to know that you can do and be anything you choose. If you choose to, look at our president. It's the type of thing, we have somebody who came from obscurity to move into becoming the President of the United States. And granted, there's a whole lot of political contrivances people can talk about, but just look at how a man with integrity moved into an arena which lacks integrity in order to presumably bring integrity into it. So anything can go. It's up to what we choose to create in our lives. Did that help?
I'd like to take a moment to, yes, definitely. I'm going to take a little moment here to give people the phone number if they have any questions they'd like to ask Hank, to call us at 310-984-7600 and press the number 2 and the code 226305 and then press 1 to go live on air. And we're going to have an open question and answer in just a few minutes, and we have that diet diary book to give away for the first person who calls with a great question. And we have a couple more comments in the chat room. One of them is, what do people need to do so that they do not miss the bigger picture?
I think it's all, everybody is individual, everybody is different. But what I think you really need to do is, one, recognize there can be a bigger picture. And number two, make the commitment to yourself that you're going to embrace a much greater perspective of life, or give yourself permission to do that. Because there's so much more than we see in every moment. And it's really interesting because there was a joke that came out a number of years ago, and it was one of these disaster scenarios. Floodwaters were rising. You know, first story of the town's underwater, and there's a priest in town watching the evacuation from the second floor window. And the guy in the rowboat rows over and says, "Father, come on board, let me take you to safety." And the priest goes, "No, my son, I trust in the Lord will save me. Your efforts are better spent to save somebody else." So the guy rows off. Waters keep rising. Now he's sitting on the roof, and a motorboat, a guy in a motorboat sees him, motors over and says, "Father, come on board, let me take you to safety." And again the priest goes, "No, my son, the Lord will save me. Go save somebody else." He motors off. Well, the waters keep rising. Now he's sitting on the chimney with his ankles in the water, and a helicopter flies by and, lowers the sling, and with the bullhorn says, "Put it around you, we'll hoist you to safety." And again he waves him off, "No, God will save me, save somebody else." Anyway, the chopper flies off, and make a long story short, the waters kept rising and he drowned. He goes up to heaven and he appears before God, and he's outraged. He goes, "God, I don't believe this. I trusted in you. I believed in you. I dedicated my entire life to you, and you let me drown." And God turned to him and says, "Well, what do you want from me? I sent you a rowboat, a motorboat, and a helicopter." Obviously, the priest was looking for something very different. As we go through life, there's always more than we are looking for that's around us, yet we tend not to see it. So I find it pretty amazing because, if you drive down, you're caught in traffic, say, and you're late for a meeting. You have a choice of getting all aggravated, which is going to drain you and make you really in a very poor presentation mode when you move into your meeting, or you could be caught in traffic and you could play with the little kid who's in the car next door and wave and make faces, or you can look at the magnificent sky and the sun penetrating through the clouds, or you can plan your presentation or think about something that's joy-filled instead of getting aggravated. So it's a choice for all of us, and most people look at life through blinders because that's what they've been taught, and they don't go beyond that comfort zone. And as you move beyond that comfort zone, suddenly you see aspects of life that, I find life is an entertainment. When I travel on airplanes, I come back with these stories, and people always say to me, "What planes did you fly on? I never see things like that." But it's just so enjoyable.
So you just pay attention.
Exactly. And as we pay attention, we see the bigger picture. Some people can be really upset that it's raining out, and others can go, "Wow, look at how great this is helping the farm crops because we've been in a drought." Or when I used to work in corporate America, it was amazing. One day I was in the elevator. It was a crowded elevator, and these two people were late for work because somebody committed suicide by jumping in front of the train. And they're going, "How dare they do that?" There would be inconvenience because somebody committed suicide. Very strange way of looking at life.